So yeah, Eden 1.0, does it coexist? Will it coexist with 2.0? What is the intent there, and how would it coexist? Anyone want to share any thoughts on that matter?
We need to stop calling this Eden 1.0. This is just Eden now. What comes out tomorrow has a new name, and it's not Eden 2.0. That is something new that's coming out, and this is still Eden, for better or worse. But when we have a treasury, the treasury is still like, we've only tapped into a fraction of it so far. So the next people who get elected will have their treasury, just like we all have today. But the big point of contention, I think, that may require more funding is that Eden still needs a development team. I know my excitement level is going to drop drastically if nobody is improving this. This system needs to evolve. We originally thought, when Eden 2.0 was starting to be talked about, that this system would evolve. Like, this was the evolution of the system. Turns out that's not true. There's just a new thing coming. And that leaves Eden in just this undefined state with no development team, no roadmap.
I guess what we would do is, as chief delegates, we have to come together and see who we can hire to maintain the code and how we can move forward, just in case if the clearance team cannot do this, because we have developers out there, right?
I'd love to see this turn into more of less focus on funding and more focus on leadership. I think that this process, the Eden 1.0 process, may end up being superior for leadership qualities, whereas 2.0 sounds like it's all monetary incentive, and it's not going to result in good leadership. It'll result in good salesmanship. I don't know, there's a word here.
If you have good leaders in Eden 1.0, what exactly would they lead?
Whatever. I mean, when this process first started, I imagined you could run a blockchain with this process. Like, this group could pick VPs for a different chain. I'm not saying for EOS specifically, because we're in a stake-weighted ecosystem, but this political playoff process could replace DPoS.
Yeah. For the selecting the ENF people, don't forget, there's a lot of people who didn't really, like Eve himself could participate, Zach can participate, we all can participate. Like, there's a lot of people who are part of Eden who don't participate. If they knew that the outcome of an election was actually to steer this chain, I think you'd see a lot more high quality folks come to the table and present high quality pitches. And if we trust this process, then the people who end up at the top will be quality people who can appoint a very quality ENF, which probably be the same people we currently have in the ENF. I'm not at all suggesting that needs to change, but then how they got there would be a lot more legitimate in my view.
And that's part of the reason to prove this process out is, I mean, you've even seen people say as much, is like, eventually the organizations that exist that are funded by the network should be run through some election process. That seems like an Eden 1 process. And from everything I know of Eden 2, I don't think that process works for electing leadership. We'll see. I mean, again, I don't know a whole lot, but it seems really focused on money and building up smaller communities.